All right, starting at the back corner, looks like you have a Cercis, so red bud right here. And these are nice trees and it looks like it can be salvaged. And if you guys like it, then I would keep it because it is an interesting variety. It just needs to be trimmed up. This guy looks like a cherry. Can't tell for 100%, but I think it is a cherry. And if it's producing good fruit, you might keep it because it looks like it'll survive a little while longer. But it is kind of right in the middle of the backyard, and it might be smart in the future to remove it just because it's taking up a lot of space. But it is going to be okay for a while. It doesn't really need much trimming. This year, it looks like it was trimmed pretty aggressively not that long ago. So I think it could go one more year if you're keeping it without, other than maybe removing a dead branch or two. But they did strap it together, so then maybe they had a fear of it falling apart. That's hard to say, but that's something to consider. Here, it's not too close to the house, but this guy right here is in good shape. I would just clean up some of the lower branches here and there. Other than that, it's looking good. These maples here, same thing, just raise up the canopy a little bit. Make them look a lot better, let a lot of light in, and make it a lot healthier around the trees. There's a few varieties over here that you might not keep. If it's too fast growing, you may not want it in this spot right here, but that's something for you guys to talk about. I would take out all the big leaf maples if any are popping up on your property. Over here, looks like we got some fruit trees along the backside. The one closest to the shop needs some trimming, but these other ones could be left to their own for a year or two until you decide what you're going to do back here. But just that one needs a little bit of work because it's kind of crowding the shop in the back. Over here, you've got a nice species, but the problem is it's so hollow. I wouldn't trust this tree, and it's starting to get some lateral fracturing in these right off the top of the hollow spot, so that's not good. And it's leaning really heavily out. And this is a black locust, so they're really strong trees, but they're really heavy, and leaning like this with that big of a defect, I wouldn't trust it. And it is also shading out a big portion of the yard over here. Other than that, it's just the defect that's most problematic. It could be trimmed if you wanted to keep it, but I wouldn't trust it. Here, another maple, not doing too bad. Just needs to be trimmed. We've got some crossing branches up here that are bigger and crown raised just a little bit. So just taking off some of the lower branches, getting up at least 14 feet. This big guy over the roof line, I don't exactly trust it because it looks like this side has kind of a rotten connection. It's not fully rotten, but it's not looking super great. Right in here, I can see there's really likely to be some defects. I don't know why they keep putting screws in all these trees. I saw a couple of big bolts back there too. But again, it's not the perfect situation to have this much weight hanging over the house. So if you were going to keep this tree, I would strongly advise to either trim up this side to reduce the weight a lot, put in a cabling system, or remove this section right here. Otherwise, just based on the proximity of the house, if it was me, I would take it out. But you may not want to spend that kind of money. Here, this maple, just these lower branches trimmed and raised up. If you can keep them about 14 feet high, let the power company deal with the tops. And as long as you guys are trimming what's bothering you in the yard, that'll help a lot, because there's like nothing growing on the ground out here because these trees block out all the available light at the end of the day. But again, here, these branches are coming down really low, just raising them up. On this one over here, same thing. This is a better variety, at least it's an oak, which I love oaks, and it looks like at least half of it isn't in the wires, but these lower branches here are growing and hanging down. They might be kind of hard to see, but there you can see it. These are hanging down really low, and we want to make sure those are raised up, let more light into that garden area. other than that, that's all the stuff that jumped out at me. If you guys have anything else that you're worried about, those are the trees I would focus my attention on. And it doesn't look like it'd be super expensive unless you're trying to remove big trees. That's the only time you'll run into some bigger costs. But typically when we work for contractors, we do a day rate is about $1,500 a day. And you could get, I would say you've got maybe 2.5 days worth of heavy trimming and hauling and brush chipping and all that. So I'll send you guys a video. Thanks a lot.